Hey everybody, welcome to Lake Wiley and Britt Myers of the Bassmaster Elite Series. You know, he just came back from a second place finish up at Douglas Lake in East Tennessee, and Britt's been nice enough to join us this afternoon, Tuesday, April the 8th, and excuse me, May the 8th. What am I saying? It's moving further ahead than I realized, but hey, it's your second place finish. You had a really good couple days up there in a position to win the tournament. Tell us what happened on Saturday and Sunday, and obviously second place is a great finish, but the competitor that you are, you've been in this game a while now.
Right.
We all know you wanted that win.
Yeah, I wanted it really bad. You know, that was probably the first Elite Series tournament that I ever blasted off, knowing that I had a really strong, solid chance of winning the event. And you know, I was on a pattern out there catching those fish about 30 to 34 feet deep. And I think to start the tournament, only myself and maybe Jeremy Starks was doing this pattern. And then it was all over the internet. You know, not just Bassmaster, but there was a lot of other websites, people posting how we're catching them. And then by the end of, I had a 24-pound bag, which is really strong on that lake, the second day. And then after that evening, you know, I'm starting to fish the same spots with the competitors who have been fishing them, but now they're doing the same technique. And, and I came up a little short, but, you know, I got to commend, Jeremy. You know, he found a massive load of fish. And normally when you find that, you always win. Just like, last week in Bull Shoals when I finished second place, Brandon Polinick had found a giant school of fish, and the rest of the field was fighting for second place. Well, in this deal, Jeremy had found his fish, and I got to give him credit. I was talking to Mark Zona this morning that he sat on that school all day long. I watched him, and in the last minute, he made a decision to go to another place. He caught two big ones, and that won a tournament for him. But I fished strong. I don't have any regrets. I can't even look back and think of anything I could have done differently. The first day I lost a really big fish. The last day I lost a fish. I had to fish on to win a tournament. That's a lot of confidence for me. I know that I've got what it takes to win one of these big tournaments. So I'm excited to get back out there.
Well, you've been at it. What is this, your fourth year in the Elites?
This is actually, I've been out there 6 full years now.
6 full years. So you've got a lot of sweat equity in this deal. You've got a lot of experience now, and obviously you know what you're up against each and every tournament. I think the diversity of lakes on the Elite Series this year has been a little different from what a lot of you guys are used to. Some mainstays are not on the schedule this year that have been on the schedule in the past. Douglas Lake is a lake the last 2 years that I think has gained a tremendous amount of popularity, A, because it's quality fishery, but B, it's also one of the more scenic lakes in the country.
Yep, you're exactly right. Douglas Lake, I fished an open there last year. And towards the last couple hours of the open, I figured out this technique. So when I found out we were going back, I was like, man, I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get out there and get after it. But to talk about me for a second in the Elite Series, this is no different. When I first started fishing bass clubs, I was at the very bottom of the scale. I can remember weighing in my very first 5-fish limit on Lake Hartwell. And then, I started fishing the BFLs. And when I first started fishing the BFLs, I was dead at the bottom of every one of those. And then one year I won Lake Wateree, and I started doing well, and I was up in the points, and I got to where I can go fish a BFL with almost any practice and finish in the top 10 a lot of the events. And now we're at the Elite Series, and it's the same scenario. We go into lakes I've never been to, never heard of, or don't know anything about. And it's not about knowledge of the lake. It's about confidence in yourself. We only get 3 days to practice these lakes, and now I feel like I'm starting to get that confidence again. Last year was my most consistent year. I never had any bombs, but I never had any good finishes, and I actually felt good about that. I felt, hey, I'm doing pretty good, and I was really excited about this year, and I'm pumped the way things are going already.
All right, now where are you going next, and what do you have to do to qualify for the Classic?
I just got to stay consistent. I don't have to set the world on fire. I could just couple top 50 cuts. 3. If I just make 3 top 50 cuts, I'll be in the Classic. But I'm looking for the postseason. You know, I'm up there right now. I think around 12th in the points, and you know, I'm not looking at trying to make the class. I'm looking at making that postseason because you got to swing for the fence here. And who knows? You know, if I keep this roll up, and there's only 4 tournaments left, and you know, Randy Howe and those guys slip at top. You know, Angler of the Year is definitely not out of reach.
Man, that's awesome. Well, you know what? As you've seen on this tour, you learn to appreciate guys' efforts, and you see guys that win that you know have put in the work, and it's good to see them, you know, benefit from their hard work. And you're knocking on that fence now. You're there. You've put in the time. Your confidence is rising. All these things we talked about. So you know we're going to see Britt Myers in the winner's circle sooner than later, and we look forward to it. Congratulations, by the way, 2nd place finish, Elite Series, big deal against the best in the world on a not an easy fishery, but a popular one, and good to see you. And where is the next Elite Series tournament?
Toledo Bend.
Toledo Bend.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's a beast. That ought to be fun. And keep us posted on what's going on, and hopefully we'll see you some this summer.
All right, John, I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, folks, we'll see you next week.